So in this episode, we're going to talk about both of our careers, and then we're going to kind of shift and talk about what we would do different if we were to start our careers over.
Right. Would you do things differently?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's kind of a
mixed feelings about it. I agree. It's the same for me. So, Megan, tell me about your career.
So I went to aesthetic school in 2014, graduated in 2015. I was 26 years old, working full time. So I went to school at night, and
What were you doing during the day?
I was working as a custodian.
Oh, wow.
I
Custodian.
had the keys that I put on my jeans and was jingling down the hall. Yes. So, but yeah, I was 26, so working full time, and it was definitely not easy. So I feel like I can resonate with my students a lot.
Right.
When they're struggling in school, I just tell them, this is going to be the longest, shortest time of your life, so just push through. But anyway, my schooling was not good at all. I didn't have a teacher for the last 3 months of my schooling.
What do you mean no teacher?
Just no instructor at all. We would just go clock hours.
Okay.
So anyway, but when I was in school, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to go solo, and that's what I did. I had a really good influence in my life at the time, and I started my business at a salon, rented a room, and just grew my clientele. And then I did that for about 3 years. I ended up moving to a salon downtown here in Kansas City, which was so out of my realm. If anyone knows me, it's so out of my realm. But anyway, I kind of wanted to move more towards the medical side of things, and so that's what I did. So I closed my business, and I went to work at a med spa, and I loved that. And then I went to work in dermatology. And so I worked in dermatology for a little while, and then COVID happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
COVID.
So 2020,
Wow.
COVID happened.
What a time to be alive.
Right. The world shut down. And so I was out of work for a little while. I kind of lived it up, which it was pretty good. But then I wasn't really ready to step back into the industry because I wasn't sure where the industry was going. So I actually went to work for Amazon.
Okay.
For a little while. Because I'm not really one to, sit around and do nothing.
Right.
So I worked at Amazon for a little while, and then I actually got back into a dermatology office and kind of built the clientele from the ground up there.
Lots of reinventions throughout your career. Like you did one thing and then another, and then try something else, and then COVID forced us to do something different at a certain point. Like this is not only your experience; it was the experience of a lot of people. So
yeah.
Okay.
And then I've had it in the back of my heart for about 5 or so years that I wanted to be an educator. And then the academy that we work at opened, and so I got in contact with them, and then I've been doing that for 2 years. And I relaunched my business out of my home a year ago now, so I've been doing that and then instructing. So.
And now she is a podcast host.
Yep.
Wow, many different things. What was the difference between a dermatologist's office, working at a dermatologist's office, compared to a med spa, if there is any difference? Or do they offer similar things?
They do offer similar things.
Okay.
The last dermatology office that I worked at did not offer laser services.
Okay.
So that was just the main thing.
But both a med spa and a dermatologist's office have to have a doctor, right?
Correct, yes.
Correct, right.
Yes.
And that's what I thought.
And that's how you get to do all the fun services.
Well, she thinks they're fun. I don't think they're fun.
Lasers, microneedling, which I offer at my spa because I'm in Missouri. Come get your microneedling done.
That's what you need to do on me. We've been talking about, you guys, I have a little bit of melasma and some sun damage because, back then we would just put baby oil on us and lay under the sun.
We'll do it.
So Megan needs to microneedle me. We could actually do, make videos about it so you can see the process. The problem is that you're going to make my face really red for a couple of days.
Yeah, but it'll
What
be
are we going to do about it?
It'll be okay.
Okay.
And what about your career?
Okay, my career was an accident, honestly. I never thought I was going to make money doing makeup. I never thought I was going to be a makeup artist. I've always played with makeup. I remember being like 12 or 13 And my mom doesn't wear any makeup, so I really don't know where it comes from. But I was like 12 or 13, and they let me buy a maroon lipstick, okay, really dark. And one day I was going out with my friends to eat an ice cream at 13, and I put this lipstick on. And I remember, yes, and I remember I was trying to leave the house, and my dad looks at me and he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Oh, to eat an ice cream with my friends." And he's like, "Not with that lipstick on." So that was a vivid memory for me, the first times doubling in makeup. And then back then, I don't know if you guys had them here in America, but there were magazines for teenagers.
Yes.
That had inserts, you buy the magazines and there were things in them. And once I was in middle school, and one of the inserts was 3 eye pencils. There was a white one, a blue one, and a black one. Yeah, they were teeny tiny little eye pencils. And so I couldn't wear makeup. They wouldn't allow me to wear makeup. But I did hide the pencils, and then I would go to school and put the pencil in. I used to use the blue one in my waterline. And then before going home, I would go to the bathroom again and just wipe it off.
Oh, so she's always been a little bit of a rebel.
Yes. Those are 2 like vivid memories that I have of me playing with makeup, I guess. And then throughout my career, my life, I worked in a bookstore. I was assembling faucets for a long time. Yes. And then what happened was I moved here in 2008, and that's the time where YouTube was getting really popular. Lots of ladies were just sitting in front of the cameras like we are doing, and they would do their makeup. And I was here in America, and here there's much more products than in Italy, way more brands, way more things because of ingredients regulations. So anyway, I was here, I had access to these products, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. So I made a couple of videos on YouTube actually back then.
Oh, we gotta look those up.
Yes,
I bet they're still out there.
Yes, I don't think I've ever taken them down. I think they're still out there. But I made a couple of YouTube videos, and then I just started doing my makeup every day pretty much for hours. Even growing up when I was a teenager, I would do my makeup, after I was allowed to wear makeup. But in 2008, 2009, when I was here alone with my parents, I was taking like 2 or 3 hours of just doing these colorful eyeshadows, all these new things and all these tools. And then I just kept doing it for fun. So it was on me, just for fun. People knew me for wearing like a green lipstick or a blue lipstick. I always loved colors and shimmer and different textures like that. And I was not afraid to wear makeup. To me, it's just a very creative outlet, so I've always worn it, for fun. And then fast forward, when I was in Italy, when I went back in Italy, I had a job in a freight forwarding company, so I was shipping containers overseas. I did that for 7 years. Very fun job, I have to say. But I used also to go to the gym often. And I remember one day, this lady was like, "Hey, you always look good, your makeup looks great, I'm getting married. I can't find a makeup artist that I like."
Wait, so question. Were you one of those that did your makeup before you went to the gym?
Yes, I would do my makeup in the morning. I wake up, wash my face, do my makeup. Okay. Yes, man. Now that I'm here in America and people don't give a shit that much, I don't do that as much. I'm also getting older, so I'm kind of tired of doing that.
Yeah.
But back then, oh yeah, I would wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face, put my coffee machine on, a mocha, an Italian mocha, and I would go and get my makeup done. Yeah.
Okay.
Every day, the full shenanigans: foundation, concealer, powder, blush, eyeshadow, eyeliner, lips. Yes. I used to wear a lot of lipsticks. Like, people were like, "Oh, Lucrezia, what color are you wearing today?" It was kind of like my signature thing back then. But yeah, and then so the lady asked me if I wanted to do her makeup for her wedding, and I was kind of like taken aback. I'm like, "No, I don't want to do that, like what?" And I told her, I said, "No, I don't think I could do that." And she was like, "Please, I really like your style. Let's just give it a try and see." So she came to my house, and I did her makeup with my products. I didn't have a kid at the time, and she loved it. And she was like, "Hey, I really want you to do this for me. I understand, it's not your career, but I like it." So I charged her $20, $25, something like that. I don't even remember. But that was my very first bride. And she also booked me for touch-ups later on. So at the end of the day, it was a very great experience for me. The beginning of my career. And then it was around my birthday, so I went home, and after the wedding, I was just so ecstatic. I was so happy. And I was telling my dad, I did this, my God, it was great. And so my dad was like, "Well, for your birthday gift, I can pay beauty school for you, if you want to. If you want to go to makeup school," I should say better. In Italy, we have makeup schools. And I was like, okay. And my dad said, there's two conditions. One, you have to stick to it. So it's not something that you're going to start and drop. Because obviously I was working a 9 to 5, so my only option was the weekend. And then he said, you can drive there. Because the school was an hour and 15 minutes away.
Wow.
Which, to give you an idea, if you were an American, you would look at it like a 4 hours drive, like from here to St. Louis, right? So,
oh, wow.
yes, because in Italy everything is much smaller, distances are much shorter. So driving an hour and 15 minutes in Italy is like, oh my God, it's a road trip for me. So my parents didn't want me to drive early in the morning and come back. And so I had to catch a train. So I would drive to the train station, wait for the train, take that train for 20 minutes, and then hop on another train for an hour, and then get out of the train station, and then walk 20 minutes to go to school.
Wow, that's commitment.
Very, and I never missed a day. Like I said, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I need to do, and this is what I'm doing, you know. So I never missed a day of school, and I kept going, and people were just having fun during the nighttime, Friday and Saturday, and I was going home early because I had to wake up early to go to school. And I was in school from 8 to 4. So, you know, I had to wake up like at 5 in the morning. Very exhausting, but very rewarding. I loved every second of it. And then through the school, I landed my first celebrity job actually in Italy, my first printed magazine job. She's a showgirl in Italy in the soccer kind of industry. She does a lot of shows with soccer players and stuff like that. Yep. That was my very first paid job. I landed on a magazine with a celebrity.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. And then shortly after I met a well-known makeup artist in Italy, Letizia Maestri, if you're watching me, se mi stai guardando, grazie.
Your makeup mom?
Yes, that's my makeup mom. I guess she saw something in me, you know, and I started going to a couple of her workshops. She was hosting workshops in fashion. She's in Milan, so the capital of fashion. That's really what I wanted to do originally. I did a couple of her workshops, and she liked me, saw something in me. And now that I'm thinking about it, actually, we wrote down my goals, 5 years goals and 10 years goals. And I remember that one of my 10 years goal was working internationally. And I came here. So it's kind of like, you know, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, and I started assisting her. So she took me on celebrity work, magazine, TV, International Film Festival in Venice, you know, all these things that you have to know somebody to get into that type of work, you know. But I was very dedicated, you know. I was there at 6 in the morning and I was there until 10 p.m., really long days. But yeah, that's kind of like how it took off. And then I started working weddings. And the town I lived at the time was a smaller town, close to the Alps. And I remember that my mom said, well, you know, there's a new wedding planner in town. They just opened their office. It was kind of like a new thing, you know. And she was like, why don't you go there and talk to them? So I got ready, you know, I wore my makeup, did my hair and everything. And I just walked into this wedding planner place. And I'm like, hey, my name is Lucrezia. I'm fresh out of school. I'm a makeup artist. And she looks at me, and I remember that she said, well, in Italian obviously, but basically what she said was, I care about my clients a whole lot, so I'm looking for precision and discipline and high standards of professionalism. Can you give me those? You know, like it was very like, hey, what are you doing here? It's either like that or you can go, you know. And I was like, sure, I can do that. And she said, okay, well, we had a makeup artist scheduled for today for a bridal trial. But her boyfriend or husband gave her a surprise weekend somewhere, so she can't make it. And he didn't know that she was booked to work, right? Yes, so this wedding planner looks at me and she goes, can you be back in 2 hours? And I'm like, yeah, yes I can. So I went home, changed into my makeup artist clothes, you know, my black stuff, and showed up. And at the time, I was already charging pretty much what I charge now here, but it was 10 years ago in Milan. There's a difference in prices. And I told her my prices, and she said, well, this is almost double of what the bride was willing to pay or agreed to pay. But let's see if she, you know, agrees with the appointment. And the bride said yes. So I showed up 2 hours later with my stuff, and that was my first bridal trial ever. The bride loved it. The wedding planner loved it. And I ended up working with her for the 3 years that I was working in Italy. So all the weddings that she had were coming to me. I'm a very reliable person, so she immediately figured out that yes, I'm gonna be on time, I'm gonna be professional, I'm reliable. If I say something, I'm gonna do that something. And in Italy, it's like different when you talk with clients. Like there's quite a bit of education that goes also into the process of doing the makeup. So I remember, I had all this knowledge about color theory and all of that. So while I'm doing the service, I'm explaining, and they love that. So yeah, so that's how I started working weddings in Italy actually.
Wow.
So yeah, I just walked in. And then I moved here. When I moved here, again, I was noticed by somebody who asked me to become a makeup educator for them, for their school. I went through the makeup designery instructor program. So technically I'm also certified by makeup designery. And I started teaching pretty much immediately as soon as I moved here. Started teaching, and then obviously because I was meeting students, other professionals, I was able to create a network somewhat easily because I was in touch with so many people, so who are you, what are you doing here? Hi, I'm Lucrezia, I'm the makeup artist, It's kind of like, that helped a lot. And I got into Kansas City Fashion Week because of that, and here I am. So I've been running my business pretty much since I moved here, I have to say, because with teaching, as I said, I was meeting all these people, so I was also able to, start my business. COVID hit. I remember lots of my brides started rescheduling their weddings. So everything that was supposed to happen, in 2020 moved to 2021. At the same time, I was teaching pretty consistently, so it was working out for me financially. And then after 2021, it's just been, a road going up. Like you start getting more bookings, and then, more people get to know you, and blah, blah, blah. So, and here I am. I've been here for 3 years now. So this is my dream studio. I was in Overland Park before for a little while. But yeah, and it's been, sometimes I bitch about it, but I really love what I do.
Right, I think that all of us in this industry, of course we complain about the things, but we wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right, and then, you start looking at your numbers, and numbers are going up, so okay, so I'm doing something good, it just often feels like it's a constant struggle. Like it's constantly doing something, finding something else. How do I market this? How do I find another client? How do I upload my website? How do I, all these things, how? It's a never-ending story, which often, makes me tired. But at the end of the day, when I look at numbers and when I look at my career, I can look back at it and be like, okay, I did something good and I'm here, so I should just keep going. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
It's just difficult. It's a lot of work, Do you ever feel that way? Like, have you ever felt like I should do something else and just drop this, or?
I have thought about it, but I don't know what I would do.
There you go.
Because honestly, before I started aesthetics school, I was working so many dead-end jobs.
Right.
And it just wasn't working, and I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. So this just kind of helped secure that for me, I guess.
Right. Whether for me, the shipping industry, especially here, pays quite a bit of money. So it's always like kind of, and I love the job that I was with. I don't know why I love it so much, but I love like solving puzzles and enigmas and stuff like that. I'm a very logical person, right? So that job, handling shipments like that, it's always a constant challenge as to what date you can do that, when the ship opens, when can you do the custom clear. It's really like putting a puzzle together to make the shipment happen. So I think that's what attracted me to the job, that's why I love this so much. But here the shipping industry pays quite well. So often I'm just like, why don't you just go back to that and do a 9 to 5 and not think about it. But then again, I look back at what I did in the past 10 years and I'm like, really? And there's people, also as educators that look up to us as their educators, and I'm like, I can't just drop everything and be done, right? What are these girls gonna do? Like, where are they gonna go? So I'm sticking to it. It's just that, like every career, you go up and down, and then obviously everything is very expensive nowadays out there, so you always have also the financial thoughts in the back of your mind, okay, can I afford that? Can I keep the studio open? Can I do this? It's not easy. So many pieces that all go together. So sometimes I just joke about, I'm gonna go back to the shipping industry.
I think one thing for me is I've seen myself grow so much, just even as a person, because I don't like people to touch me, and I did not know anything about skin care at all, because I grew up with a single mom who didn't wear makeup, who didn't do anything with their skin. I had brothers, and so I knew nothing about this. I still really don't, but I know what I know, and I always continue to educate myself, but I've seen myself change so much in 11 years. Even with educating, I've seen myself grow, even with solving problems, learning that, there's always a solution to the problem, multitasking like crazy.
And I think that also teaching, because it forces the instructor to be in touch and experience so many different personalities. Like every group is different, every student is different. So it's always like confronting positively, yourself with the other people that are the students. So it's a constant like challenging what you think about yourself, and then it's like, what do they think about me? How can I be better at delivering a topic, or how can I be better at explaining something? And there's always like this back and forth between all the different personalities that are all sitting in the same room. So it's very enriching also to a certain degree, for ourselves as just women, just as a person. I feel like, because you always have a new personality that you're dealing with. Nobody is the same as
right.
you. So I was learning how to interact with them, talk to them, teach them, make them do what you need them to do.
Yes.
And all of that. It's definitely a learning experience.
Yes.
I don't feel that we just teach, me personally. I always learn something from the people around me. And, I like to talk about a bunch of different topics with the students too. But it's always fun to me learning about their lives, what they do, what they don't do, their dreams that they have.
Yeah.
Even learning the bad things about them, it's just like, I'm just like, did you really just say that? Did you really just do that? It's definitely very enriching. I think enriching is the right word for that.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we introduced our careers, Megan, would you do anything different if you start over again? And if so, what would you do different?
I have thought about this, and 2 scenarios came to mind. I would still go out on my own because I'm one of those people that doesn't like people telling me what to do.
Okay. All right.
I'm very independent, and I like to, kind of, what do they say, beat to my own drum, or whatever that saying.
You're asking me. I have no idea.
But, it actually pushed me to learn a lot on my own and to really take advantage of continuing education. But it was also a struggle, financially on that end. But I wouldn't change it for the world sitting here today. But if I could change it, I would go work for like a med spa or something like that to get that advanced education and just to be able to stash some cash,
Right.
So, yeah, 2 different scenarios. And also, it's such a different world today than it was in 2015. I mean, when I first started, I had a paper appointment book.
Right.
I still have my first appointment book, and sometimes I go back and look at it, and it kind of humbles me a little bit. But it's really good to go back and look, kind of where you started.
Yes.
But, I had a paper appointment book. Social media wasn't even really a thing back then. So having to learn all of this now and get your business out there, create content, like we said before, we wear so many hats as a business owner, and you just have to constantly learn and constantly promote yourself. So it's just such a different world than from when we started. So that's kind of, but also as an entrepreneur, you always push yourself to be better. So I can't really say that I would thrive in a med spa because it would probably limit me.
Okay.
Interesting. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. So are you an esthetician or are you an entrepreneur?
Both.
Both. See, okay, when people ask me that, I'm just like a makeup artist. That's how I see myself. That's how I always see myself.
Because it's kind of one of those things, like, I want to build my brand.
Right.
Like, yes, I'm an esthetician first, but I want to build my brand and get my name out there.
Okay.
But also, I don't like talking to people. Because, these these networking events that we've been going to.
Yeah, we're awkward, you guys. If you meet us at one of these networking events, we are a little awkward. Forgive us. It doesn't come from a bad space or nothing. It's just, to me, they're awkward. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
These people just come up to you and they're like, hey, here's my card. This is what I do. And I'm just like, hello. But we're doing better with that too.
Yes.
And what would you do differently if you could start today? Like, knowing what you know about the industry today. So let's say you're fresh out of school today. How would you approach your aesthetic career?
Oh, I would go out on my own. I would have a special niche. Like, I would just niche down one service and focus on that, and then find my target clientele and just grow my social media. Yeah. Specifically to target that clientele and just promote.
Right, which is from the business point of view, the smart thing to do. This is what a lot of newer makeup artists or estheticians do.
And I would just, like I said, focus on that niche, and then as I built my clientele, I would add services onto that.
Yeah. Interesting. I never really thought about having a brand. It kind of happened to me, I guess. That's what I learned that I have to do on social media. But no, I never had that thought. I never had the thought that I was gonna have a business. The business happened to me again. Like, I moved here, and I started getting booked pretty quickly, and I was like, wow, okay, I need to have a business type of thing. So, but for me, what I want to do is doing the makeup.
Into what?
Doing the makeup. That's what I want to do. I really don't care for. I never have been. Creating the brand, having the business, I do not see myself as a business owner nor an entrepreneur. I do it, I guess, as a consequence of me wanting to be a makeup artist.
Yeah.
And so for me, while it is very smart what you said from this business point of view, that's also what I learned in college, find that one thing that people want, sell it on repeat, and really hone into that thing. Create content about it, market it, email newsletter, find the clientele for that thing, and just push that on repeat. The algorithms on social media like repetition, so the more you push out the same content, the more you're gonna be seen. While I understand that from the business point of view, from my point of view as, I don't want to say a creative makeup artist, but somebody who always loved the actual job, like doing, it's very limiting. So creatively, for a makeup artist, I think it doesn't really apply to estheticians as much, because you don't really play with colors. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have, your services, and there's a facial for the acne person, there's a facial for the redness, there's all these different services. But from my point of view, it's very limiting when you find that one face and sell it on repeat, right? Creatively speaking. With that being said, this is also why my feed on Instagram is not very cohesive or aesthetically pleasing, because I have all the clients that don't recognize themselves in that one standard beauty look.
Yeah.
Right, so all these people that are like, well, I really want a burgundy lip for my wedding, but apparently I can't find the bride with a burgundy lip. They end up coming to me because they know I'm gonna do that for them, right? So from the business point of view, it's extremely smart to find that one thing and sell it on repeat. Especially when it comes to makeup, if you think about the bridal industry, a lot of makeup artists do the same soft glam look on everybody. That's what people want. That's how they get bookings, and they master that one look. So for me, it's just boring. I don't want to do it. I can do it, and if there's clients that want me to do that, I'm more than happy to give them what they want. I just like the personalization and customization that can come with makeup artistry when clients allow for it. I remember when I started mentoring, when I started being the mentee, I guess in English, of my makeup mom, that she really wanted us to learn a lot about every makeup style and everything, right? And she said, I remember that she looked at us and she said, well, what are you gonna do if one day you have a Middle Eastern client? If you don't know how to do Middle Eastern makeup, what are you gonna tell them? They're like, you have to be versatile, you have to be able to give clients what they want, because ultimately they pay you to get what they want. So she had us study a lot of different makeup styles, and we tried all these different things. So I grew up in an environment where absolutely no master that one look and sell it on repeat. Okay, but from the business point of view, that is the smart thing to do, because that's what's gonna help you grow your business with less struggles, because then you become an expert on that specific look, right? So
basically, no is not a word that's in your vocabulary.
Correct.
As a business owner or as an artist in our industry. But there is a limit to that. You have to have that in your vocabulary to a certain extent.
Right.
Because you don't want people walking all over you.
Right, yep, that's a great point too. Because it happens often, right? People want a discount, they want a cheaper price, they want something else, they want to add a service. Yeah. I'm here, can you just do this for me?
Maybe that could be one of our episodes too.
Yes, we should talk about it. How to say no.
How to say no and when to say no.
And when to say
there
no.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, would you do it differently?
Okay.
I mean, you said that it kind of happened as an accident, so.
Okay, I don't think that I would do anything differently for my experience in Italy. Mm-hmm. Everything that happened in Italy, when it happened, and I would not do anything different there. But I would do differently what I did when I moved here.
Okay.
So, for example, I would try to find a job at a counter at a mall.
Okay.
Yes. The problem is when I moved here, I was somewhat cocky and arrogant, and I said, well, I have done all these things, I'm not going to go work in the mall. That's kind of like my mentality back then, you know. I was like, oh, no way. And then I started looking at prices here, and they were so much lower compared to what I was doing in Italy, you know. So I was like, wow, no way I'm going to work for anybody else. No way I'm going to work so somebody gives me 40% of what I make, you know. I was just like, oh, no, absolutely not. It was a big no for me because the prices were much lower here. There's way more quantity here, but at much lower prices when it comes to makeup artistry. So I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Working at the mall? Absolutely not. Well, I should have. Working at the mall, the reason I didn't want to do it is because obviously you're on a schedule, right? So you have to work certain days, certain times, weekends, and you have to meet sales goals. Yeah. Which I cannot sell nothing for shit. It's not my thing. I hate selling stuff. I would be a terrible esthetician if I had to retail.
Sell retail.
It's just not my thing. I just can't. So I was like, I'm not doing that. But if I could go back, I would do that. The reason is, especially in certain areas in the metro, the reason is that you meet women. Yeah. You know, the women come there and they say, oh, I need a new foundation and I like MAC. So you're working at the MAC counter. There's the foundation for you. Let me show you how to use it. So you insert yourself as the expert too. They see that you know what you're talking about. Do you happen to do makeup on the side? Oh yeah, I do. You know, so you can put your name out there in a much quicker way than what I did. You know, because me was like, I'm here. Nice to meet you. I got to meet people because of the school. I got to meet people in the fashion industry, but you know, that was about it. I never had any other way of meeting just regular women that may want to get their makeup done. Yeah. So that's what I would do if I could go back. I would go start working at the mall in the counter. MAC would be one. I always enjoyed MAC, you know, I've always been a MAC girl. Other brands, I can't really think of anything else right now on top of my head. Well, I know that Danessa Myricks now is at the mall too, so that's another brand that I would be interested in working for. Or maybe, you know, just work at Sephora, like work somewhere that has a job for me ready to where I don't have to think. Yeah. I just go there, show them my skills, share my knowledge, show them that I am an expert in makeup artistry and I can give them what they want. They pay me, I give them the job. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do differently. And I would also document on social media the whole process.
And you don't take the stressors home with you.
Right, because it's basically, you know, it's a 9 to 5 in the beauty industry. So that's what I would do differently. Because if I think about it, you know, I've been here for 7 years. The first year I couldn't really work or documents and stuff. And then when I started working, I was really just myself going out there and trying to sell myself, you know. Whether being in an environment where women walk in because they're going to buy their gown for prom, you know, or whatever, it's much easier to meet potential clients and sell your expertise or whatever. So that's what I would do differently. And definitely, this sounds cliche, but posting consistently on social media. It is exhausting, but that's how the world rolls today.
Yeah. Keeping up with the trends and what do I post next and yeah.
All of that. When I started doing makeup in Milan, we were not doing social media, and we had photographers.
Right.
Like makeup artists were always working with models, photographers, hairdresser, manicurists, stylists. Like I've never, here people just get together and create content. I do that too. But that was not my experience in Italy when I started. And I was like, I don't need to do none of this because first thing first, it wasn't as popular. Second, we always had photographers taking professional pictures for us,
right.
With the umbrellas and everything. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I show up, do the makeup, I go home and I have pictures, So that's definitely not the world nowadays. Completely different. So that's what I would do differently. Other than that, I would still get into education. I like that. I really love that. My very first class, I was freaking out. I had 25 students, and I never taught anything to anybody, let alone in English. But the Makeup Designery program is a really good program, the way it's built. It's really great for the instructor and the students too. It's very detailed. So I kind of had like this book that I would follow, that says, from 9 to 9:15, you talk about this,
Okay.
Yes, and then from 9:15 to 9:45, you talk this, then you give them a break. So that was very, very helpful having that. But then it just kind of became second nature to me. I know what I'm talking about. So it was just kind of like me blabbing, about makeup things.
Yeah, and you get more comfortable as time
Yes,
goes on.
yes, definitely you get more comfortable as time goes by. For me, I guess the English, the language barrier was the thing that was freaking me out the most. I was like, are they gonna understand me? But then it kind of became like a funny thing, I would say weird things and we're just laughing about it. The same way, I don't think that people should get offended. I also don't get offended easily. So for me, like making jokes about my accent, the word that I said, what they understood and what I meant to say, it kind of like became almost like an icebreaker often during lessons and also like a way to connect with them on a more personal level, Like, so it was just really fun. I have a lot of funny stories about that, but it was just, that really helped me too. Just, they're paying me to teach them a job, I'm teaching them the job, and if we can have fun doing so, that's even better, So
That's what it's about.
Yes, that's what it's about. And obviously, I think you also have to understand your limits and recognize, your weaknesses and strengths that you have in the job that you do. And definitely for me, when I started teaching, the language barriers was one of my weaknesses. And instead of like dwelling on it or, feeling bad about myself for that, or oh my God, I tried to say that and understood that, blah, blah. I made it the funny part of the classroom.
Well, and I feel like that gives you credibility as well because you're not trying to fool them.
Right.
Or, fool them.
Yeah, they could, yes, because, obviously everybody makes mistakes and stuff, so they
Yeah.
can also kind of relate and be like, oh, I could have been me or whatever. So, but yeah, and that's what I would do differently. I would try to position myself out there in a more smart way rather than just, I think that if I had done that when I moved here, I would have a more busy business nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think successful because I do consider my business to be successful for the amount of years that I've been working here and blah blah. But I would have more ease in finding bookings because I would have put myself out there more often and easier for people to find me.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I'm currently struggling with because I have an in-home spa.
Right.
And so, I have to work extra hard to
Right.
get my name out there.
Right.
So I, had to create a Google page. I'm creating a website,
Yes.
social media again. It's all of that.
Yeah, Google Maps, make sure that you show up where you're supposed to be showing up.
Client reviews.
Yes, all that kind of stuff to where you're also, on the map and not only on Google. Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching our episode today, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.